it's like going back to what Kennedy said, kind of paraphrasing Kennedy here. It's not what your blockchain can do for you. It's what you can do for your blockchain, and it's like, what are you doing to help?
What are you building?
What are you
Why the
building? What
fuck
are
are
you
you here?
doing?
What are you building?
What infrastructure are you helping with? It's not even necessarily infrastructure. It could be content in this case, that kind of thing. It's like what I hear people bitching all the time about, development's not doing this and that, on these other chains, and it's like, well, what are you doing? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CoinLogic TV. It is Macro Monday. I'm here with Taskmaster4450. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing well, plugging along in the world of Hive.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Sorry if you hear a train. It just is what it is. I'm in the mobile studio today. But yeah, I was just got finished writing a post myself, was looking over some charts. Bitcoin is not looking good at all, hitting that $16,000 level, and it's not looking like it's going to stop until we hit probably, I'm looking around the $10,000 to $14,000 range, somewhere in there. So, but that's, it could happen. There's a lot of things that are going on. I see I got a video of yours that I need to watch, actually. So if you guys don't know, go to Leo finance.io or any of the high front ends, go follow Taskmaster4450. So he's got his own videos that he does pretty much every day on the economy. It looks like you're concerned about Tesla stock. Is that what I'm seeing?
No,
No.
the video went up, but I answered the question in the
Oh, okay.
negative. No, I'm not concerned about Tesla at all because I look at Tesla like I do Hive, and of course we'll do the proverbial. This is not financial advice. We're just two
Yeah.
idiots on the internet
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
information. Um,
At least on my end.
but Well, I'm not a licensed financial planner either, and I'm just sharing information, and who knows where it goes. Uh,
Educational entertainment purposes only.
the bottom line is like you were just talking about with Bitcoin. Tesla could go lower levels. I'm not saying. I mean, it's at 170 now, or was it 170 this morning? It could go to 150. Some are calling 120. I'm not going to say that can't happen. I have no idea if it will. If it does, I'll be a buyer. If it doesn't, so be it. But it's like with Hive, what are you looking at? And obviously, we talked about this in past shows. You have to understand the difference between trading and investing, and what that does is time frames. I mean, somebody can be extremely bullish on Tesla and be short in the stock. You say, how is that? Well, because they feel over a 5 year time frame, let's say Tesla could be extremely bullish, or Hive, or Bitcoin, or something like that. I mean, hell, you just threw out a prognosis based upon you're looking at the charts. I mean, I don't know. You may be in the camp of $100,000 Bitcoin, but you just talked about how bearish you are about Bitcoin. Now, obviously, your 100 grand isn't in the next 3 or 6 months, whereas you're saying 10 to 14 in the next few months may be a possibility. So that's where you got to look at investing versus trading, and what is the time frame. And when you start to look at investing, when you start to look long term, when you start to look over years and half a decade out, that's where fundamentals come in, and that removes market noise. And so basically with Tesla, which I believe should be as with any investment, and we'll talk about Hive as an example, you get all this noise out there. With Tesla, it's Elon and Twitter and whatever other bullshit people put up. With cryptocurrency, it's FTX, it's VC funded, it's all this other shit. And that's all noise. It affects the market, yes. But when you look at Hive, when I look at Tesla, has anything changed with, let's say, Hive in the last 3 weeks, last 6 weeks, whatever it's been since this FTX shit started? The
Not
answer
since
is no.
FTX. No, nothing at all.
No.
We had a nice
It
we had a really awesome hard fork that, guess what,
yeah.
went over pretty seamlessly. Like,
Yeah.
most
I mean,
users
we've
didn't
had
even know it happened.
we've had the hard fork. You have people building. You have the infrastructure. The hard fork. I put in my article this morning about digital real estate. If anything, the hard fork, because it advanced us technologically, has made our real estate, our raw land, if you will, using that analogy, that much better. Now, raw land, if it's on the ocean, it has a lot more value than raw land in the middle of the country. However, raw land on the ocean undeveloped versus a plot in the middle of the country with a giant skyscraper on it has a lot more value. So it comes back to, again, what are we going to build on Hive? Who are the builders? What is being created? What are the apps? What's the infrastructure? All this stuff. And that's where I get excited. That's why I look at Tesla, and I made that video today about Tesla. No, I'm not concerned about the stock price because the company itself, nothing has changed. They're scaling. They're going to have a record. They're going to sell more cars, generate more revenue, and most likely generate more profit than they ever did in the history of the company. And the stock's down like 60% this year.
Yeah.
Part of that's due to market. Part of it's due to the noise and the bullshit surrounding Tesla and Elon. And part of it legitimately is Elon selling stock to buy Twitter. I mean, he dumped a shitload of stock. So, when you have your largest shareholder dumping, and some said it was up to $20 million, 20 billion, excuse me, which is like 10% of his holding, you're talking about a lot of stock being dumped. That's going to affect the market. But as we know, in the long term, from the distribution standpoint of the stock, it's probably a good thing to get those shares out of the hands of one person and into the hands of other
Yeah.
entities. And
Well, you
so,
can, I don't know if you can see the screen here. I
yeah,
pulled up. I actually, yeah, this is after some feedback from you and I talking. I added in a new stocks futures area on the front page of CoinLogic. So we see in here Tesla is down over the last 3 months, 6.02%. A lot of it I know has
can
been.
you pull up a 12-month on there or a year to date on that?
I can.
What's it down
It's
on
around
the 1 year?
6% 1 year.
It's only down 6% on
Well,
1 year.
no, let's see here.
No, it's got to be more in the 1 year.
Yeah, I think this is just showing
Yeah, that's just showing that's just
kind of
showing.
recent data. I don't know. This
Oh,
is new. I just put
that's
this up
showing
here. So,
that's showing the down on the 1 day. That's
oh,
it's
okay.
down
Yeah,
six
that's the one day.
percent
Oh,
today.
cents percent on the day. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Down 10
what's it
bucks
at?
for
I
the day.
can't see 168, so it dropped below 170. I mean
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. 169.27 is what this is showing here on the NASDAQ. So
well
that's what.
pull up the S&P. What's the overall market
So
cap?
the S&P is over here
There
on
it is.
the right hand side. So that's at 39.54.90. So over the last 24 hours, we're down 0.24, down 1/4%.
Yeah. So
So,
you look at the charts. I mean they're similar over the 3 month time frame. Can you do both on a 1 year?
yeah.
There you go. Very similar. I mean, Tesla fared a little worse, I would say, but it's a similar trend.
Yeah.
And that's where, as we talked about trading, one of the first lessons in trading is the trend is your friend. Yes, people make a lot of money, being contrarian investors, but that shows you right there. For all the noise around Tesla and all the Elon anti-hate all the Elon hate and this and that, Tesla's basically okay. It's fared a little worse, I'll grant you, but it's just followed the market. I mean, the S and
It
P
really
and
has.
Tesla have a similar shape. And if you pulled up, well, Facebook's fared real bad, but if you pulled up Amazon, that would probably look very similar. That's just how. Oh, there you go. See,
Yeah, this is showing like the top 5 active stocks, and then it has a, gainers section and then a loser section as well. So it shows that.
yeah.
So this is like
So
over the last 24 or
this
last three
this
months.
is where you get people like Raoul Pal. For those in crypto who follow him, he's a macroeconomic guy. But unlike most economists, he's worthy of following because he did manage money, and so he understands the
Yeah,
management of money. He understands capital flow. He understands markets. But he takes a lot of his analysis and his approaches based on macroeconomic analysis. So he's looking at the big picture, and that's right there is the big picture. It's a
Yeah.
1 year. Everything's been beat up in the equity market. You see, the equity market's been beaten up, and Tesla, Amazon, and if we went through, Facebook and Apple and all this other stuff, many of them would follow the trend. And
So,
so it comes back down to when is there going to be a reversal?
yeah.
And crypto, of course, follows the same thing because I believe it follows the Amazon and Teslas. It's risk on, risk off in the extreme, just like your high PE growth stocks. So they're going to get beat up a lot worse than a Home Depot or a Lowe's.
Oh, for
And same with
sure.
crypto. Same with crypto. And so, I mean, I can't say Tesla's at the bottom. I can't say Bitcoin's at the bottom. There may still be more downside. The sentiment is still piss poor awful. The contrarian viewpoint, though, is when the sentiment is at its worst, that's when you get bottoms.
Yeah.
So doesn't mean I'm calling a bottom, doesn't mean we're done, doesn't mean that your forecast of I haven't looked at a Bitcoin chart, but it doesn't mean that your forecast of 10 to 14,000 isn't legitimate. I fully see that as a possibility. Um, but the question at a certain point in time becomes how much lower can this stuff go? And that's where each person has to decide. I think I think you have to say after these moves down, we're much closer to the end than we are to the beginning.
Because we've been
So
coming down for quite a while now, and what people
I
don't,
would say
eh,
I didn't look at the chart,
it's been
Logic.
we've been coming down
It's
for a
about a
year.
year in
Yeah,
crypto, right?
yeah. In
Yeah,
crypto,
we've been
we've been coming down about a year at this point. We really topped out around late November, December, that kind of
okay.
thing.
That's
Actually,
what I seem to remember.
let's come over
Well,
here and let's pull up these charts. Um,
you're
all
just
right.
so fucking happy about this, aren't you? Look at you.
Yeah, this is
You're like a
fun.
kid with a new toy.
So yeah, let's come back here. Let's look at this side. So we got a daily chart. This is on Bitcoin, and we topped out. Yeah, it was November, last November, 8th
So where are
actually.
you?
So we're coming
Where are you?
down. What I'm looking at here is that these $14,000 levels here, and then even down towards this $10,000 level is kind of what this kind of
Well,
zone here is kind of what I'm looking
there's
at. And we're not far
there,
from it at this point, so it could absolutely spike down or something like that and
to
touch
to
those
quote
levels.
to quote Powell again though. One thing you have to keep in mind is we tend over time not to revert back to the previous lows because of the exponential growth curves and things of that nature. And so if you look at stuff on a logarithmic scale, those tend to like, Bitcoin on a logarithmic scale. It's a nice upward sloping
Yeah,
thing for about over a decade. And logarithmic sales obviously does smooth out a lot of the market gyrations and does show you the clear trend, on a clear basis because of your spacing. In your drops and stuff like that, because obviously $100 move at a $10,000 level is much different than $100 move at $1,000 level. So,
yeah.
it's like, could it go back to 14? Could it go below 14? Certainly. I mean, I don't discount that. And, you go back even further, go on a 5 year scale of Bitcoin, a 5 year chart of Bitcoin. I bet you see, I'm going from memory here, but you might see a low somewhere in there of 6,000 in that time frame. So,
Well, our
if you
last
go
low, I mean, we had these lows back here, were in 3,000 range here. This
30,
was 3,700 in 2020 at the COVID crash. This was
oh,
back here.
okay.
This was after the Bitcoin Cash BSV split in 2017, late 2018 kind of thing. This was the capitulation after that bear market, and that's kind
So
of
I think in those few years we've gone higher than the 3,000 bottom. I think that kind of flat plateau there looks to be. I'm just guessing it's probably around six. That range there.
Yeah, this range here is going anywhere between 67 to around 10,000, and then we spiked up to around 14,000 here at this point, close to
So
it.
I
So
say you're right. You hold above 10. Do you get to 10? Hard to tell. there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that could come into play. But
And we're in a complete, we're in a completely different just global landscape, than we have been in past, bear markets as well. So, we're just
yeah,
having to
but
play it by ear, and
you have
just,
to keep in mind that first off, this is really Bitcoin's first recession.
yeah.
So you're right. We don't know how to react, but Bitcoin is a market. Let's keep that in mind. Bitcoin, really, the utility of Bitcoin is next to zero. So Bitcoin is just a market, and like markets,
It's
everybody
just an
says,
auction. It just goes up and down. Yeah.
it's everybody says we're heading into a recession. It's like the stock market. We're heading into a recession. So you think the logic is the market would crash. Well, not if everybody and their brother is expecting a recession and the recession's already priced in. Now, I can't say that it is or isn't, but it's potentially conceivable that a lot of the bad news is already priced into Bitcoin. And markets do that. Market participants, they are forward looking. So it's not like, especially with Bitcoin, you're not dependent on any damn fundamentals or earnings or anything like that. You're just looking at it and putting it against the backdrop of, where the hell do I see things going in the next six
Yeah.
months or 1 year?
Well, if you look at the fundamentals of Bitcoin, the hash rate is the highest it's ever been. We're at all-time highs as far as hash rate's concerned.
And what does hash rate really tell you? I
You
mean,
know,
it,
Well, it just tells you how much, how many computers are back in the network and that kind of thing. So you got these companies that are still putting in, even though, a lot of them are having to sell at these prices and a lot of them are at a loss, but they are, still putting assets behind Bitcoin. You still have that energy behind it. I get
well,
that. I get that narrative. And because
I
I've been
question.
looking into these mining companies. I've been looking kind of beyond just the crypto markets here recently. And looking at different companies. And so I'm taking this industry that I understand, but I'm looking at like these core businesses that are being traded publicly, that kind of thing, and seeing, what's going on behind the scenes. A lot of them are really kind of over leveraged right now too. They went into a lot of debt towards the, top and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
bought these
Yeah.
machines. So that's why the hash rate's right, because they've got these machines running and they got to make their money back and pay these bills on eventually. So been trying to follow that, a lot more, but it's like, even, it's like you said, the Bitcoin utility, it's a ledger. And that's basically what the blockchain over as a whole is. And a lot of people in this industry think that blockchain and crypto is going to save everything. Sorry, it's not going to save everything, but it has great utilities for a lot of really cool things. And I don't think that we've really tapped all of that yet. That, these decentralized ledgers can really, solve a lot of issues. And so like
Well,
we're talking about with Hive, there's a lot of really awesome utility that's going into that, so that's why I like backing Hive. And another and it's not just utility, it's community. And so
well,
that's
see,
another thing behind it too,
the thing with
for me.
Hive, the big difference between Hive and Bitcoin is this: both are decentralized ledgers.
Hmm.
Bitcoin's a decentralized ledger, like a bank or like the Federal Reserve.
Yeah,
It's just transactions. It's just payments. It's money moving from point A to point B.
that's it.
Uh, that's all it does. And I'm not saying that's not important, and I'm not saying it wasn't revolutionary 13 years ago, because it certainly was. The problem is that's very limited, because now you say, okay, well, what is on this ledger? It's like a bank transaction. It's like, going to your bank statement or your credit card statement, and it's financial transaction. And that has its use. That's huge. Finance is a huge segment of our global economy. It's necessary. It's important. But I can't build Leo Glossary on Bitcoin. I can't even build it on Ethereum. I can
But
build it on Hive because it has the capability of storing text.
Bitcoin
We
can't
can
do
put,
this,
yeah, we can do this. We can put scientific data on Hive. We can put climate data on Hive. We can put code on Hive. We can put articles on Hive. We can put information on Hive that's
Art,
decentralized, that's
music.
immutable. Well, you can't. You can't put audio or video
Well,
on
you could,
Hive.
yeah, well, you could put it on IPFS and tag it in, lock it in with Hive and through the blockchain that way,
Yeah,
so
you
that
can do that.
you can tag that and copyright things, so artists can't copyright in that kind of manner. We're doing that kind of thing with blockchain, so
Yeah.
um,
So,
yeah.
you have the immutability aspect of Hive of any text, whatever the text represents,
Mhm.
can be immutable and on the blockchain and there for anybody to review. You can't do that with Bitcoin. So hence,
Mhm.
when you start looking at block tunes, well, you couldn't build that on Bitcoin. You
No,
look
not
at
at all.
you look at Leo Glosser, you look at value for value, or you look at Podping. You can't build that
Yeah,
on
those are awesome.
Bitcoin. Well, value for value uses Bitcoin
Well,
and
it
ties
uses
in
the
the lightning.
Lightning Network, which is the second layer, but what I like is that it can turn Bitcoin into Hive. So I
Yeah,
get it as
well,
Hive, you know. So
that's a big thing, and
we're gonna add it to our artist pages. We're gonna add because we're kind of at this point we're requiring a lot of our artists to have Hive accounts and that kind of thing. So if they want to, if they don't, then they don't have to. But you're gonna miss out on a lot. But anyway, because that's where our tokens are at now. We've got everything now based on Hive Engine and Hive and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, but we're gonna do the QR codes on our artist pages for each of so that people can pay Lightning, Bitcoin, do tips and that kind of thing, but our artists actually receive it in Hive, so they can do it with, do with it whatever they want at that point. So we're going to integrate that. I'm gonna probably talk with Brian in London and see how we can do some further like payment integrations and that kind of thing. So I like what they got, but it really just that whole QR code system they got is really cool. But what I'm really excited about on that is the pod ping, and that is definitely something that you cannot do with Bitcoin or really Ethereum or any of that other stuff because it's just too slow. And Hive
and too
with the
costly.
and too costly. So our resources allow us to be able to do things like pod ping, which is basically what, if you don't know what that is, the way podcast networking works is basically it reaches it the podcasting networks have to reach out and they're constantly trying to look at to see if different things have new episodes, different shows have new
Mm-hmm.
episodes. Well, with Podping, it basically just pings the network when a new podcast happens on through this, and it can really help alleviate a lot of podcasting resources, and that's all built on Hive, which is really cool. So that's what we're
And
talking
then
about.
Brian put up a proposal, and he's working with somebody else who's I think it's called High Video. I could be mistaken on that, but I'm going to be doing an article on it tomorrow. But they're looking at tying in streaming and the notification system and all this stuff.
That's
And
cool.
this is just people don't realize this is just revolutionary shit. And it's like people think that Hive's just, oh, this little blogging blockchain. And you got people like Brian of London who he's immersed himself in the middle of a 20-plus-year-old industry, highly centralized in podcasting and more importantly, podcasting indexing. And
Hmm.
he's just basically thrust himself and Hive right at the core of that and saying, fuck it. We don't care about Google. We don't care about Apple. We're going to change it
Well, to the point of
completely.
Adam Curry himself has called him out many times and called out Hive many times about Podping and said Podping is going to be the revolution on it. That kind of thing. Adam Curry is the father of podcasting.
Yeah.
If the listeners do not know who that is, so yeah, I mean, when you've got that kind of that kind of clout coming at your back, hey, we got something going on over here. So even though he is still a Bitcoin maxi, we're gonna get him over to Hive at some point. But
Yeah. Well, I think the more, see, to me, and I know I'm over the top, and I know I write stuff that's over the top, and I get attacked for it. But I've been following technology logic for more than 20 years.
yeah,
I admit I'm not a bits and a byte guy. I couldn't code a logo. I couldn't even put a logo on a web page.
yeah,
But I admit that freely. But I have, over 20 years watching technology, looking at how things change, timing technology, watching the cycles of technology go through, the hype cycles they go through. And so I have a pretty good understanding of how this stuff evolves. And it's like virtual reality. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gone through 3 hype cycles with virtual reality, and we're still not there yet. And, you know, the last one of a few years ago, I did the same thing, and I said, "This is gonna be a bust. Don't buy into it. We're not there yet." And we weren't. And, you know, obviously, Facebook/Meta is crashing, in part due to Zuckerberg's push into the metaverse, which I've said openly, we're not ready yet. This is a marketing ploy. It's bullshit. Don't buy into it. And the problem that Zuckerberg has is the foundation of his metaverse is VR, and that's not there yet. He's
Yeah.
still behind. He's still ahead of the curve, which is fine, but it's not going to be commercially viable. And when I look at Hive, I admit freely, and that's why I developed the analogy to real estate. Yes, we are for the most part raw land. We're like a an old prairie town, you know, where there's a few things built, and you know what's the first thing they always built? The church. What's the second thing they built? A bar. So you had the church and the bar. That's all we got is the church and the bar. Funny how that worked that way in the old west, isn't it? But those were the first two things they built.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It
so
is what it is.
we have this pristine land called the technology, but we're still building stuff. So you know you're working on building the structure where the blacksmith will be, and I'm working on building the general store, and Cal's working on building the schoolhouse, and we're all building different things that apply to this town, which ultimately will feed into the economy, because you know we need the whorehouse, we need the bar, we need the hotels, we need the general store,
I
we
love
need the
how that was
blacksmith and the
the first
carpentry.
place you went to was the
What's
whorehouse.
that?
I love how that was the first place you went to was the whorehouse.
Well, it's not, no, the first place is the church, so that allows you to have the
Okay,
whorehouse and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
bar because you
Well, that
got the
allows
church.
you to get forgiven for getting drunk and going to the whorehouse the night before
Well,
church.
you spend 6 days and 6 nights at the whorehouse. Then on the seventh day, you head over to the church and get your
Get your sins
absolution
forgiven. Yep.
and move on. Um, you know, and that's really the way. I mean, we talk about digital real estate. It's thrown around. But what is digital real estate? How do we approach digital real estate? And if you look at how the industry's treated it, it's like they treat everything else. It's a
Yeah.
speculation asset. It's like NFTs. Well, what were NFTs? Oh, well, we just bid them up to 300 grand. It's not that we took the digital real estate to actually fucking mean anything. It was just, oh, well, we'll place a bet and price go up and I sell higher. And that is the, you know, when you attack me for writing a post about big Hive to $100, and you talk about, well, it's going to take more money coming, it's going to take more of this, more of that, and it's like, no, you're still looking at it as an investment. You're still looking at it as financial. You're still looking at it as an asset class. Don't look at that, and that's what I tried to convey. Look at it as a town. Well, we need a face. Look at most towns. Who the fuck was the face on? Okay, you might be able to look it up and say, okay, well, here was the founder. But
Yeah.
most of them, it's because people went in, built the churches and the whorehouse and the bar and the general store and the stables and all the stuff that's needed for a town on the real estate that's there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
out of this,
going to that point real quick is the whole we need a face. You see what happens to the projects or to the towns in this analogy of the ones that have a face. That face gets attacked, and that face is usually the one that's bringing down that whole infrastructure. I mean, you
well,
look at
that
Do
or
Kwon,
you
you look
have
at
a
SBF, you look at
yeah.
people like that.
Well, that's just the hype shit. I look at Apple. And people say, well, Apple had Steve Jobs. Yeah. And for over 20 years, actually over
Apple
30
fired
years,
Steve Jobs.
well, that too.
I mean, people
And then, they,
forget that point.
yeah.
People
And then
forget that
they,
Apple fired Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs went off and created a company called Next, which is
next.
now which became OS 10. And then he also created. He was one of the creators of Pixar during that time.
Yeah.
So
See,
people forget
but
that point.
and Jobs came back, but the problem is what people forget. For 30 years, Apple was just a niche computer company.
Yeah.
With Steve Jobs there, not there, coming back, it was still a niche computer company.
Mm-hmm.
It took the iPod, then really the iPhone, to make it this incredible sensation. So it wasn't Steve Jobs that being the face of Apple that did anything. Yes, he was a driving force behind the iPhone. I don't doubt that. He was a
But see,
genius. I don't doubt that.
I'm going to say this as a former Apple employee because I know the history and that kind of thing. It wasn't so much Steve, it was Steve's ideas, but man, Johnny Ives designs, and
Okay.
he's the unsung hero of Apple, which he's no longer there, and they can't
Yeah,
find
well,
a decent replacement for him.
that's the
But
other thing to believe it's one person. I mean, everybody talks about Elon and Tesla. And yes,
yeah,
I'm a big fan of Tesla, and I believe he's a great leader. But let's be honest, that's why this is bullshit about Elon spending so much time at Twitter. People make it like Elon's doing everything at Tesla.
yeah,
There are the best engineers in the
yeah,
world are at Tesla or
yeah,
SpaceX, one of the two. And these people know what the fuck they're doing. Elon Musk is not sitting looking over the shoulder of everybody in the autonomous driving division.
mm-mm,
They got 150 people in that division who work their ass off, and they are some of the best in the world in that field. They are probably in the top 500 in that field in the world,
yep,
and they work at Tesla. He doesn't, I mean, he provides a vision, he provides a guidance, he provides the culture, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of shit at Tesla, and there will be a lot of high quality people at Twitter. And when we get into the second segment, I want to go through this because I think this is highly important for Hive. And so
yeah.
I don't know how much time we have before our intermission.
We got about 7 minutes before
Oh,
we
okay. I could go
yeah,
into it then. Okay, we
let's
got
do it,
7 minutes,
man.
no problem.
Yeah,
So here's the
I'll give you
deal.
a 2 minute warning. I'll flash the two.
Okay. Here's the deal with Tesla. And this is what people don't understand. And Elon got a lot of flack because he said he fired most of the employees and he basically said, if you're not going to work 80 hours a week, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here. And you have the option to resign. And if you don't show up to the office by Tuesday, we'll accept your resignation and see you later. And he got a lot of flack for that because these $350,000 a year salaried software engineers don't want to work over 40 hours without getting paid time and a half. Look at all these people on the oil derricks making a lot less than 350 who are working 100-hour weeks, or
yeah,
these emergency responders or whatever. But leaving all that shit aside, what Elon has done is basically this. He said Twitter had 200 million subscribers and they had about 1,000 employees in 2012. Tesla's grown to 300 million subscribers, and now they have 7,500 employees. Why do you need that many employees for software? So what he said is this company can survive on a lot lower number, whatever the number is. So if the number is 750, 1/10 of it, Elon has said, I know for a fact, you give me top people who are willing to work their ass off and willing to put forth 1,000% for X number of years and become very wealthy in the process, by the way,
yeah,
because Elon will reward them very well with ownership and stock and all that shit. We can do more than 7,500 slackers. And so what Elon basically is doing is the same thing he did with Tesla, same thing we did with the SpaceX. It's no doubt that he gets the top engineers coming out of these schools, coming from other companies who want to work at Tesla and SpaceX. He's going to do the same thing in the software industry. You are going to find the best people in the world end up gravitating towards Twitter. They are the ones who are going to say, you know what, I don't want just a 40-hour cupcake job a week where I make, decent salary or even an exceptional salary. They're
yeah.
going to go in there and he's going to find those 7,500 or 1,000 people in the world to have the ability to do this stuff, to code, and they are going to give their left leg to them. But for that, they are going to be the part of something great, and they will end up very wealthy in the process. And that's what Elon looks for. And he says, because of that, I can take 1,000 people and put them up against a company with 10,000 people and eat their lunch.
Oh
And
yeah,
he can.
oh
And
yeah.
that's what we need on Hive. We don't need 300,000 people who are slackers who put up shit posts and just come here to take them. We need, give us 3,000 people who are like, they call me Dan or Starkers or Cal, who are going out and committing their life to this, Brian of London, and just building shit and going in there. I try not to pat ourselves on the back too much,
I
but
know, I know.
putting your life into this or as much time as you can, putting in the hours, working the burning the midnight oil on chain all the fucking time. Give me 3,000 people who are like that. Ethereum stands no chance because we will have so many businesses, so many applications, so many options that not only are standalone, but then what happens? Logical Dude can take his projects and integrate Leo Glossary. He can integrate PodPaint. Cal
Mhm.
can integrate Leo Glossary. 3Speak can integrate Threads. And all of a sudden, you got this cross pollination which you cannot see anywhere else. But to get that cross pollination, we need the people to create this stuff. So
Yeah.
how do we do it? Well, if you're a developer, you code the living shit out of whatever you're working on, kind of like Brian in London. If you're not a developer like me, you get involved with putting crap on chain that has some utility. And Leo Glossary is not the only solution. As I said, I mean, we can put all kinds of data on here that ultimately, once you get the data there, somebody else can tap into, and somebody else can start to navigate. So here's something.
There's so many
How about
different ways that people can get involved on the blockchain.
how
On
about
Hive, it's not
somebody
even
just
funny.
start with geography?
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
do the same thing
yeah.
I'm doing with Leo Glossary. Do it with geography. Get all this
Mm.
geography information on the blockchain. What happens when somebody wants to develop a geography app? Even if you don't know how to develop geography, an app, you can put all the geography information on the blockchain. That's cut and paste. I mean, that's a lot. As I was saying, I've said for, since before I started this, Cine TV, somebody should be going through IMDb, through Rotten Tomatoes, through Wikipedia, and putting together glossaries of the different movies, TV shows, stuff like that. And think about what that would do for Cine TV. Obviously do it under post through Cine TV. So think of what that would do for the search engine ranking of Cine
Yeah.
TV, and also the ability for people who write articles. So if you write an article about Back to the Future, for example, you can link Back to the Future to the Back to the Future page that has the cast, that has some information on Back to the Future, maybe the revenues that were pulled in, all of that stuff. And that is a very useful tool. And that's what I'm trying to do with Leo Glossary. And I granted from the day one, I said this is a proof of concept to see what can result. But Cine TV already has the front end. The
Yeah.
geography thing that I was saying, if somebody started doing that, then the front end could follow later because somebody says, hey, that's a great idea. Or a list of colleges, or, you could get into football teams or baseball
Well,
records
this
or
is actually something that I've always thought about for weed cash too, and we've got that front end as well, is for different strains of cannabis and that kind of thing. That that would
a
be that's
glossary for
always been
weed cash
something
would
that
be.
I have like wanted to kind of set up and needed somebody to kind of help do that. Especially be great for some of these growers to do that kind of thing, but we just never could get the push behind it. But that is actually something that we could probably try to rejuvenate some things on. But that's
Yeah.
because I love that
What is
idea. That's a really awesome idea. And with the Cine TV thing, my daughter, she's actually getting about to start getting involved with Cine TV. She's actually quitting her little job that she's got, trying to focus in on her senior year. But we've got her a website, and she's really wanting to focus in on that kind of stuff because that's what she's wanting to go to school for, is for podcasting, broadcasting, all that kind of stuff, music production, getting into doing like her own things. But she's wanting to get into like film reviews and that kind of stuff as well, because she's been doing horror film reviews. That's like her genre, and like so she goes through and she's been doing all these different reviews. But like something like that though, like what you were talking about, like an IMDb kind of thing would be something awesome for somebody to get involved with and just start building on their own.
I'll go one step further. I'll go to block tunes.
Yeah,
What songs are on the White Album? Who put out the White Album?
that's
What
actually
other
a good.
albums did the Beatles put out in addition to the White Album? You could put together these databases for block tunes, and you can put that on Hive and have that information available to all the stuff related to block tunes of everything to do with music, who was in the band, who was in Journey. So from the earliest stages to, Steve Perry years, to the post Steve Perry years, to the Ariel, if I pronounce that correctly, Pineda years,
Hmm.
who was in all of this. What other bands were these people in? I mean, you just think of the cross linking and the information that you start to provide it. How about a block tunes musical database? And then what could come out of it? I don't know. But then people can start to get innovative and creative and start to say, well, let's start to look at some of this stuff. And people start writing articles about the Beatles or about, Aerosmith or about Buddy Holly or whatever it is. The possibilities become unlimited. And to me, that's a great feeder system. And if you can start ranking this stuff, and I don't know if there's a music database and music glossaries out there, but that's a great feeder system into some of these projects, because if you get them ranking in the search engines, you are the expert site.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a
With
really
Leo
awesome idea.
Glossary, I got Investopedia, I got Wikipedia. Those are two things that are tough to overcome. IMDb is tough to overcome, but you got to start somewhere. And Cine TV could start, Blocktunes could start their own music database and just start
'Cause
building
there's
off
not
that.
really a music database out there like that
I don't
that
know
I
of
can
one. I
think
mean,
of.
I've never looked. I
I've
mean,
never seen anything like that, actually. That's not actually a bad idea. Huh.
there you go. There's another
Yeah.
business for
Yeah.
Hive, another idea for Hive. And if I had time, I'd do it. But I mean, what could it be? Well, you just put Beatles White Album released, whatever the release date is, the songs on there, who played on it, blah, 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 blah. You put some information, boom, there's a post. Then you put together all the Beatles albums, but there's a post. In the White Album, you link that to the Beatles White Album page, and you got a nice link there. Then you just keep adding stuff. And, well, Paul McCartney, well, what did he do? He was with the Beatles, he was with Wings. Boom, there it is. Well, what albums did the Beatles do? Boom, there it is. What albums did Wings do? There it is. What years did they play? Well, the Beatles were from 58 to 70 or whatever the years were. And Wings was from, 71 to 99 or whatever it was. And you just keep doing that. You keep adding to it, and you add paragraphs and you put ideas in there, and you just keep building it out. And it just grows.
Yeah, no, it's a really awesome idea. And I actually am just securing the Blocktunes dash DB account right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's, or Blocktunes glossary or Blocktunes DB. Yeah, I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot of things you can do with it. And what I found is you start adding, because you can only post once every 5 minutes. So you just start getting posts up there, but you can update as much as you want. And then if you start to get people involved and they start adding to it, I mean, Leo Glossary has over 2,000, 2,200 posts now. There's a lot of stuff, if somebody else wanted to get involved, that they could, join and link, and they could add to existing things, and add more to, what is an interest rate swap? Actually, I still got to write that, but to a lot of these different terms. And it's the same thing with that. I mean, you start getting posts up there of the Beatles White Album, and you put the songs, you put who was in the band, and that's it. Then later somebody comes and adds how many records they sold, when it was certified gold and platinum, and all this other stuff. I mean, it could become huge. And
Yeah,
like you
that
said,
you yeah, and you could do like a glossary of like musical terms and things like that, like
well,
what is a DAW? Like people when I say what DAW do you use? People are, huh? What is that? A digital audio
Well, without a
workstation.
doubt,
Like
you
what is
you
that?
you provide those general terms, and then of course
Yeah.
you link the general term. And then what happens? Well, then all of a sudden, through this glossary, you can
Well,
put advertising to feed in, and maybe use that to buy up your token and support your DAO. So effectively, you're helping your DAO owners.
yep.
Uh, and distribute that to them. Or you could start to sell products, start to sell music, get affiliate programs for music. And, oh, well, if you want to buy the Beatles White Album, you go to Amazon here, but you're buying it through, the affiliate link. So the DAO is starting to get that, or whatever. I mean, there's just so many possibilities that you could turn this stuff into commercial applications.
Just got Blocktunes index too.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one. I mean, it's,
Cool.
these are things, when you start to look at a decentralized database, and I don't think enough people look at Hive from that perspective. And when you get a decentralized database, the ability, because I started Leo Glossary, but I don't own Leo Glossary because everything I've done for Leo Glossary is on the blockchain. Everything Gatred's done for Leo Glossary is on the blockchain. Anybody can tap into that.
Yeah.
I don't have any control over this data. None. So anybody can use that data and innovate and incorporate. You could incorporate Leo Glossary into all of your CoinLogic information, just like Leo Finances do. You could take the Leo Glossary information and build your database differently and pull that stuff in and show something completely different than Leo Finances, but it's on the blockchain. And that's what makes Hive more valuable. Not only do we get the information there, and once it's there, it's immutable, it's open, anybody can tap into it, but that's how we stimulate innovation. On this show, we may have just come across an idea that is going to do more for Hive than any one show could do in an hour and 40 minutes.
You just came out with like 10 different business ideas all within like what 5 minutes, kind of
That
things.
that's what
I
that's what
just started 2 different accounts like right now as you were talking.
that's why I said you give me 300 entrepreneurs, or excuse me, 3,000 entrepreneurs. I know we could make this bigger than Ethereum in no time,
Yeah.
because I mean, just running my mouth ideas come, because it's all there. Now, granted, a lot of this stuff takes developers. Some of this stuff, what I just told you there, anybody can do. If you can type, you can do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, taking something like geography glossary or whatever to build the front end, you have to be able to build the front end. But front end developers are, compared to
Breakaway
blockchain
communities
developers.
would be perfect for something like that. Like, so
What's
you could,
that?
yeah, breakaway community. So you could create a Hive community for something like that, to where people could actually, participate in that kind of thing. And you could easily set up a breakaway community. It costs somebody, whoever would be maintaining that server, it'd cost them $5 a month or something like that. But other than that, and then you got to pay for a domain, but you could have one of the breakaway communities through Speak Network,
Yeah.
built on the Easton framework, like I had with the original Blocktunes setup. I have actually a guide for that on the Logical Dude account. So,
Yes, you do. I've
yep.
seen that. Here's the idea. What about this? The geography community, the geography glossary. What about tying that to a travel community? Because now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
well, I'm thinking about Madrid. What do you put in there? Well, all of a sudden you have this glossary of Madrid, not only the history, not only the sights to see, the museums, the art gallery, all this other stuff, the place where so and so had his head cut off. You also can talk about restaurants, which you can create a glossary of restaurants and all this shit.
Shoot, you can even get into like, have people, looking at like hiking trails for different locations, doing like all trails kind of
Whatever you
situation,
put in your glossary on the blockchain,
Yeah.
somebody then can take a front end, build it, whether it's for information, for travel, for whatever, incorporate whatever they want. Maybe the travel front end only wants to incorporate the history because other things change. Okay, so you incorporate the history. So here's Madrid. Here's some history. Do you want to visit it? And they throw up some links to some Google pictures and stuff like that. Fine. Or they download their own pictures and have them on the website. You can incorporate all of this stuff in there. It's just you start to get into this stuff, and that's why I say building on Hive. What the fuck is the value of this? And people say $100 a token, that's just asinine without a major pump. I'm not even looking at the pump. I'm not even looking at the market. You take some of the ideas I just laid out, and you make a travel website that has data it's pulling from Hive as the main source. That's going to be worth a ton. Just like Brian of London's Podping, if this is at the center of podcasting and providing all the feeds for, let's say, 30% of the podcasting applications out there, or 30% of the podcast, the applications pull their feeds from Podping. What the hell is that worth? That's worth, an incalculable amount of money.
Dude, I mean, if they could finally get Apple on board with that whole situation, the amount of money that Apple would save alone just on the whole indexing and servers for their end of things would be astronomical. I just don't.
But Apple would then lose control of
But that's Apple's problem. Yep, yep, yep. I know that from the back end of things too.
and that's the same thing with home. That's why Brian went after the indexing and saying now you can't. I'll just use him because he's so divisive. Now you can't bury Alex Jones. See, they don't censor
Yeah,
Alex Jones; they just bury him. So if you want to find his latest broadcast, it's on page 1,000. So good luck
yeah,
finding it.
yeah,
With this, it's like if Alex Jones puts out a new podcast, it's the same thing as Cryptomaniacs. It's the same thing as CoinLogic. Same thing as anybody else putting out. It doesn't differentiate. It throws it on the blockchain. Anybody reading it sees Alex Jones new broadcast. Apple doesn't like that. Google doesn't like that. But that's where Brian said, let's decentralize the indexing of podcasting.
yeah,
And Adam Curie, as you mentioned, thought it was a great idea. Well, how come we're resilient on IMDb? And I get this every time I go to Wikipedia because they must be in a shitload of trouble. Because every time I log on to Wikipedia, it's like, give us $2. We need $2. They are having, what happens if Wikipedia disappears? I don't give a shit if anybody likes Wikipedia or not. But
yeah,
what happens if they disappear? All that information, because they have server costs, vanishes. It's no longer on there. I mean, unless somebody's just been copy and pasting, which people have been. But what happens if I disappear? Leo Glossary is still running. It, unless the high blockchain stops, it's there.
yeah.
So if you build, um, um,
Well,
Blocktunes index, and you have all these definitions there, and you have all this stuff on music there, and you have all your whatever we just talked about, that's there. It's not
yeah.
going anywhere. So
And do you have
if
somebody else helping you manage the Leo glossary thing so that you do have like redundancy or backup just in case something, you have somebody that's helping you produce content, or is
no,
this
the
just
only one, the
all
only
you kind of thing?
what Gadrian does Splinterlands. But see, here's the thing: if it's out of the Leo Glossary account, but you could literally go and start adding to it by opening up another account. I mean, it's on the blockchain. I can't
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
you. Nobody
yeah,
can stop you. And so, okay, I dropped dead. Gadrian drops dead. There goes the access because we're the only two with the posting keys to Leo Glossary. So somebody sets up, Leo Glossary 2 or Leo Glossary 3 or whatever, and they just start posting the same format we've been posting. I mean,
yeah.
it's
I
on
see
the
what you're saying.
blockchain.
Yeah,
Now if somebody's writing stupid shit, I can easily sit there and say, well, that's not me. That's just somebody set up another account because, you know, look, unless it's added through Leo Glossary, it's not what we're doing.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but then again, what's the motivation to do something like that? It's a lot of work. And unless you're an idiot and have way too much time on your hands, why are you going to do it for nefarious reasons? I mean, what I laid back out to you with the music, that will take you are signing up for a 5-year career basically for no pay because you're smart putting it out there in decline rewards because if you don't you'll end up with the old guard all over your ass. So all the Leo Glossary decline rewards by default, but the information's there and it's what can come out of it. And obviously your motivation for doing it and spending all the time, mine is to enhance Leo finance. And yours obviously would be to get involved in that, anybody else who gets involved in that, to enhance block tunes. And it's a valid thing to do. And you set up that side, you feed into that side, and there helps some of your onboarding because also, by the way, guess what one of your glossary terms should be? Block tunes. Or better yet, what is block tunes with a
oh,
huge
that's
write up?
coming this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
If
working
you
on all
notice,
that stuff, so
if
yeah,
you notice at the bottom of every Leo glossary page, there is what is Leo finance, and it links to a page where I wrote a big write up of Leo finance. So, and right at the top, what's at the top of every Leo finance page, of every Leo glossary page? How to get a Hive account, and it's a link of how to get a Hive account. So those are my two
okay, yeah.
header and footer, if you will.
That's smart. Okay, so yeah, that's just how you set up your templates and that kind of thing for it.
Well, I because I'm not that advanced, I just copy and paste. I have a text document. I just
Yeah.
I just have my header and footer. I copy it in there when I write new posts, and then I put the
Yeah,
what I write in
yeah, you
between the
template. Yeah.
two, put a header, put the tags, far away, and there you have. Of course, link the
I
terms.
just do all my templates and I'll do my templates in Peaked. So I'll have like a Peaked tab opened up because they have like a really nice template structure. And I just copy and paste from there, that kind of thing. But yeah, having it in a text document's actually a good way to go to. But yeah, no, that's actually a great it gives people a plethora of ideas to kind of get themselves started, because everybody has some kind of like interest, everybody has a specialty, or, you may not be an expert in everything, but you may have a lot of knowledge and you may have something that you want to learn a lot about. So this would be a great way for you to be able to go out and learn that kind of thing.
Trust me, if you put together a music glossary and
Oh
you are
yeah,
one of the ones doing it, you will know after 6 months' time, you will know more about music and whatever you're writing about, the different bands and the different artists than most everybody out there.
shit.
I
I'm gonna
guarantee you,
put
I
my
know
kids on
more
that
about
shit.
the
What you talking
bond. I know
about?
more about the bond market and the insurance industry and the investment banking world than probably 99% of the planet, simply because I've gone through it. And I didn't take, I mean, I took finance at college, but I took a semester. I didn't go through this stuff in detail. But when you understand the terms and when you start to put together lists and you start to, do that linkage, you will know more than most of the planet. And,
Oh yeah.
if you're writing up every single album that the Beatles made, and you're then listing every song that in each album that the Beatles made, you're going to know. You do that over 6 months period of time, you're going to know more about music than anybody in
That's
music
yeah.
history.
Oh yeah, for sure. That because you're just doing a complete deep dive, on
Yeah,
history of
yeah.
music.
So
But like like somebody like my daughter, like I could even like get my daughter on board with this because she's in band and make it like a project for her or something like that. Because again, she's quitting her job, so I'm gonna try to fit, so she can focus on some other stuff. So we're gonna try to get her set up doing some posting and stuff like that and make some extra money. But yeah, like that, or if anybody's got that kind of interest, that's something that they can get going on because that's just yeah, no, it's a great idea. And I hear people, saying it's like, hey, Hive is just a big database, but then people are, oh, it's so much more. Why are you just using it as a simple database? And it's like, but it's an amazing way to use it. That's the thing, you know.
yeah, this is what happened with Leo Glossary. I started Leo Glossary. Most people sneered and snickered. I kept at it. I brought Gadrian in. Gadrian started building out Splinter Glossary because he an old timer player in Splinterland, so he knew all the stuff. I know
Yeah,
nothing. So he's filling that out. We kept at it. We were consistent. We kept building. We built these links, and then all of a sudden, I come across a post by somebody. He commented on my post last night. I can never remember who it is, but he put together this post, logical dude, where he built this incredible template, if you will, or he built an idea of how to integrate Leo Glossary into Leo Finance. It was part of the contest that Cal put together about, help us to build the front end.
yeah,
And so this guy did this and put it out there, and Cal thought it was a terrific idea. Now, I don't know, and he doesn't know what part of his creation is actually going to be integrated into the new UI of Leo Finance. We don't know how any of this will look, but the simple fact of the matter is, Cal once again affirmed Leo Glossary is going to be in the new UI. This is just something I started, and this will have enormous impact on uh, Leo Finance. I believe it has the ability for SEO. It has the ability, if done properly, it has the ability to improve articles and improve knowledge and turn people to it. I mean, what if you write an article and the one of the first words in there is cryptocurrency, and somebody's reading an article and they're like, I don't know what cryptocurrency is, or I don't know what a blockchain is, but you highlight blockchain and you click and link it, and there's 1,000 word write up that somebody can look at and read what a blockchain is. Oh, okay, now I understand. That enhances the reading and the readability and the knowledge conveyed in your article. And I think ultimately the search engines like that. So,
yeah. Now
people say, why are you?
you're doing this all just as a basically a time donation, aren't you? Like you're because you said earlier, all of the post rewards, like you're canceling out post rewards.
Yeah, I get nothing for it.
Yeah, you get nothing for
I'm
it. Yeah,
doing it gratis, but I also have, 330,000 Leo. So it's
yeah,
not like I don't have a vested interest. And this is part of, I used the real estate analogy this morning, but I've used in the past. Hive is a cooperative. So I don't necessarily get paid to go through my neighborhood and pick up the garbage. I don't get paid to keep my lawn nice. I don't get paid to fix the gutter on my house or to replace that fascia that is cracked and has holes in it. But if I own a house in a community, I get paid in the fact that I have ownership of a property here, and the better the community looks, the better it is for my house. And it's
yeah,
the same thing with this. The better Leo Finance is, the more I can do for Leo Finance, or let's say Leo Glossary, the better it is for my Leo holdings. The better it is for my Leo holdings, by the way, also the better it is for my Hive holdings. Because if you look at a lot of this stuff, because of how Leo Finance is set up, a lot of these terms are not showing up under Leo Finance. They show up under Hive Blog, which is much better SEO optimization. So I'm actually helping Hive Blog by doing this. Well, what does Hive Blog help? It helps my Hive holdings.
yeah,
So, it's like, yes, I'm not getting paid for it specifically on a per post or on a project basis, but I have a vested interest in both Leo Finance to a big degree and Hive to a big degree,
yeah,
where that's the payoff. So that's why I said with Blocktunes, it may not be you. It may be somebody else who has a big interest. And in fact, all people who have Blocktunes tokens should have a vested interest if they have time getting involved in what we just spelled out. And if you could get 6 or 7 people, or even 3 or 4 doing this, that would really help expand your database. And then you could incorporate it into the
yeah,
Blocktunes front end. And that would help Blocktunes stand out, because now all of a sudden you got this glossary, and somebody searches for um, I don't know, give me like kind of a rather obscure artist, Carol Kane, who's big name, but not the biggest name in the
yeah.
world.
That's a pretty obscure. Yeah, that's one that most people
Uh,
wouldn't think. But yeah, no, I know
Although
Carol
all of a sudden
Kane.
they get
Yeah,
Carol Kane, and what happens at blockchain trades? Blocktunes is one of the first things that shows up in Google.
yeah.
Okay, it's
No,
not
that's
the
just
same
huge for
way
that's
as
just huge
all
for
the.
the whole business overall. Because I
Of
mean,
course,
yeah, no,
of
it's just huge
course,
for it. No, but not only that, it's like you can even put like links. It's like, hey, we do this. We no post rewards. If you want to help reward us, you can delegate to the Blocktunes account or the Blocktunes DAO or whatever. This will help us grow the community overall. Blah 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 blah. No, yeah, no, that's it's all about just SEO and just bringing content to the whatever platform it is that you're trying to help grow. And like you're talking about being a stakeholder, being a shareholder, in these networks, in Hive, and then in these front ends like Leo Finance or Blocktunes, with the music token and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, you are a part of it. You are, you have a vested interest, if you're involved in it. So yeah, that's a really great point. The better that you are, the better the ecosystem grows, the better your pocketbook grows.
yeah.
So and it's
Ultimately,
like
over
it's like I like
time,
to go back and say, I've said it in other times too, with other posts or whatever. It's like going back to what Kennedy said, kind of paraphrasing Kennedy here. It's not what your blockchain can do for you. It's what you can do for your blockchain. And it's like, what are you doing to help?
what are you building?
What are you
Why the
building? What
fuck
are
are
you
you here?
doing?
What are you building?
What infrastructure are you helping with? It's not even necessarily infrastructure. It could be content in this case, that kind of thing. It's like what I hear people bitching all the time about, development's not doing this and that, on these other chains, and it's like, well, what are you doing other than just sitting here trying to just leech rewards?
Yeah,
Or in like case of like the Cosmos community, it's like it's all about airdrops and this and that and well, gimme, 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 gimme. You're not trying to help anything, kind of thing. But yeah, that is one thing Hive has over everything else is just community, and we do have real people here trying to do and solve real problems, and we do have the DAO and things like that. So if people do want to put a proposal up, it's like, hey, we're building this index,
Yeah,
but
but to put up a proposal, you better have some reputation.
yeah,
If you just show up on Hive and throw up a proposal, you're done. You forget it. You're
yeah,
wasting your time. Save the proposal fee because you have no reputation. Nobody's going to vote for you because they don't know if you're worth the shit or not. You
no,
have to prove you have to prove yourself first, and that's so unknown in this world today. And it's like the bottom line is, you come to Hive, you show yourself to be dedicated, you show up on a daily basis, you will get on the radar if they call me Dan. You won't do it in the first week. It may take you a year, year and a half, but eventually you'll get on the radar. If he sees you on Twitter, if he sees you in the Discord for a CTT talk when they have it, if he sees you commenting on his post and putting up legitimate comments, not nice posts, thank you, he will, over time, he will begin to recognize your username.
yeah,
Does that mean he will ever upvote you? No, not necessarily, but he will be aware that you are there. And that's how you get known. And so then suddenly you get a project, maybe he'll support it. Maybe block trades will support it. You know, I've never thrown up a proposal. Would I get a proposal supported? I don't know. It's probably
yeah. I
50
haven't
50.
either. I haven't jumped in there, and even though I have built the projects that I've built,
You know,
I've still never put up a proposal on the
I,
DHF.
I would say
Archange
it's,
told me I should, said it actually helps kind of get your name out there a little bit more or something like that. So
yeah.
I've thought about putting something out there, as like a marketing proposal or something like that. Because I really think that like something like Blocktunes has the ability to bring a lot of people into Hive, through music and trying to get new musicians to the blockchain. Because I mean, there's a ton of people out there that could benefit from this, and they just don't understand it yet. So where Hive is a great way because what I found is the whole setting up of the MetaMask, and that's why we're making the whole Polygon side of things more of a pro feature. So if people want to go that route, then cool, you have the choice. But Hive is great because it gives you that human readable address.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody can come in, create a user account with their artist name, like I have with Groove Logic, and build a reputation behind it. Start putting your posts up. That's your account. You own that and you can earn off of that. And that's, the more people I think that can finally understand that and get them off of, get them away from some of these other traditional means where they're not making any money, or at least, still use those, but like, hey, why don't you link the stuff that you're posting on Blocktunes with your Facebook account or with your Twitter account so that way you're sharing that and you're earning on that, and that kind of thing. So that's, there's all kind of ways. And like I said, everybody's got their niche. So everybody's got a way to, contribute in one way or another. And that's really kind of the way it
I
is.
feel if you have a Hive account, you are a business.
Yeah.
So look at yourself as a business and say, okay, I'm a business. I'm going into business. I got this Hive account. What do I do? And that's what each person has to answer. And it may take you a while to find out your thing, but be attentive, be open, and the
Well, that's
easiest way
why I
I
got a
found
whole bunch of different
is
things.
start supporting other projects. That's the best way to get
That's the
known.
biggest thing
You want to
too.
get on Dan and Starker's radar, go support Three Speak.
Hmm.
And I don't know what they need done. I mean, that's what Eddie Spino did. Eddie Spino just kept showing up everywhere that Dan finally had to hire him. He said, shit, I need to hire this guy. He's here anyway. I might as well put him to work. Go Leo Finance keeps expanding. Why? Because more people show up and say, okay, what can I do? And, you know, where can you fill in? And instead of bitching and moaning, and you could do, I mean, I had this conversation with John on one of Cryptomaniacs. I said, John, you get killed in Discord. Everybody said bitching and moaning about this, that, and the other thing, and what CTP is doing. I said, let me ask you a question. Has anybody like got on DM with you and said, John, I have time. I have 2 hours a day or an hour a day. How can I help? What can I do to help the four of you who are, or three of you who are really the foundation of this thing? How can I help? Do you need some help? He said, nobody. If
Yep.
I came to
Nope.
you and I said, Logic, you have this block tunes thing. I don't know much about it, but I got some time. I got an hour a day I can dedicate to it. How can I help? I think you're onto something. How can I help? Would you say, get the hell out of here? You're an idiot? I mean, you might, but if it wasn't me, if it was somebody else, would you turn that person down? You would say, okay, well, what can you do? Well, I don't have any real skills, but okay, well, no skills. Can you type? Yeah. Okay. I can put you to work. There's stuff you
Yeah.
can do.
You
Very
have a
good.
Twitter account? You have a
Yeah.
Facebook account?
If
Help
somebody
promote.
came
Like, yeah.
if somebody came to you with that attitude, you say, "Shit, yeah, come on, yeah,
Bring it.
we'll do it." Go
I
buy
can't
yourself.
pay you, but you can pay
No,
yourself,
but
but
well,
help promote
I
us and
got
you're gonna
some,
help pay
I got
pay you
some of your
something.
tokens, so I got a vested interest. Okay,
Yep.
good. Let's make a horse race out of this. People don't do that. It's like, well, why not? I mean, there's plenty. I can't think of a project out there that couldn't use more people. Leo Finance, STEM Geeks, I don't know what they're doing. Bro, Ecency, CyberX.
It's the lack of work ethic, man, and that's what I'm seeing out here, even in just even out here in the real world, and it's like doing because I've been back doing a lot of offline, with my delivery business and stuff, and you going around, everybody's hiring. It's because nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to, everybody, that was everybody got stimuli, for 2 years and decided, or at least in the US, but it, it made everybody lazy. Everybody being at home for 2 years, that broke everything. The work ethic is gone. And it's even showing up here on the blockchain in the crypto space. It's people just want to give a little bit of effort, but they want the maximum amount of gains. And it just doesn't work that way. I've been putting effort into this blockchain since 2019. And, I'm just now starting to see, people giving me attention, as far as like some of your bigger names and stuff like that, recognizing what I'm trying to do. And it's like, oh, okay, well, so that's, so it's just sticking with it and actually providing value. And that's what people just, you
I
know,
don't, I can't determine the value. That's for other people to determine. But
and
I
that's
can
what
say
and that's
this.
what's great about Hive is the community determines the value of your
No,
post.
I
It's just
understand,
getting
but I
yourself
can
out
tell you
there.
this. I put more words on this blockchain than anybody.
Hmm.
I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah,
Between my posts and
bar
Leo
none.
Blossom, I'm putting more words on this blockchain than anybody. And I've done that for a long time. And I've done it in spite of downvote wars. I've had people crush my account over the years. I've had people support my account over the years. I've had all of it. And I put up more words in comments, in blog posts, and all that other stuff than anybody. Well, when you do that, you're going to be seen. And I don't put up a bunch of bullshit. Nice post, thanks, sir. I put up legitimate stuff, and that's what it takes. And then I do this show now. I do Crypto Maniacs. We've been doing that for a year and a half, going on
Yep.
2 years. That's what it takes. And if you're willing to commit, like you said, the Kennedy line, not what can the blockchain do for you, or not what can Hive do for you. What can you do for Hive?
Yep.
And I've kicked up my Twitter engagement and talking about Hive. I mean, I don't know how much great good it does,
Yeah,
but
me.
whatever. I do some parts. I support Leo Threads, and at the end of the day, this stuff will spread, and I know it because I'm one of the people, along with Block Trades, along with Howu, along with They Call Me Dan, with you, John G. Olson, Blaine, Eliana, Raymond Speaks. These people, and I know I'm missing a whole lot, Cal, a Nomad Soul. These people are 110% dedicated to Hive in their different areas. They're all focusing on different things. And they're not going to stop till this is either at the top of the mountain or we're at the bottom of the sea.
Yep.
And there's nowhere in between. Brian of London, another one. This guy's not stopping.
Yeah.
On and on, there's people. Disregard fiat, not stopping. And the only problem with Hive is we need 10 times the amount of people that those type of people. We need to find 1,000 people, 2,000 people who have that attitude to say, we're just going to make Hive into the greatest thing. These CyberX people, they seem very committed. I don't
Yeah.
know them personally. They seem very committed. Good on them. Elindos with Exo, he's very committed, in his realm of creating a game. Splinterlands people. I mean, on and on it goes. So
Oh yeah. it's we're building a huge community here, and it's just like, and it's bigger than any, it's like it's bigger than any like one company. It's bigger than, and it's not, like we've said before, it's we Hive itself doesn't have a company. Hive itself is decentralized. Anybody can come and build these, build a business on it. But we're down to the last minute here. It's been a great episode, kind of giving a lot of ideas what people can do and get involved and how you can change things. And it's not hard to do. It's just jumping in, just getting involved, getting your fingers working, go get you a finger exerciser, strengthen your fingers up and get to work, But
I found typing's a great finger exercise.
oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so like, Elon's trying to do with Twitter, with Tesla, trying to change the world. That's what we're trying to do with these blockchains. And it's just going to take time. And we're going to get there one way or another. So it's going to keep everybody showing up, hitting those likes, subscribes, and following us every Monday for Macro Monday so you can come back and get this awesome education. Task, it's always a pleasure, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a great day.